Hi there! I'm going to give you some advice on how to improve your shooting, understanding positioning, boost your economy, and explain how to farm experience and money, plus a whole lot more. However, the most valuable advice for any WarThunder player is coming up right now. In the video description, there's a link to the official game website. What's the trick? The trick is that you'll immediately get 3 premium vehicles forever: a tank, a plane, and a boat, plus 7 days of premium, 100,000 silver, even more cool vehicles, but on a rental basis, as well as decorations. If you've already started playing and don't have all this, feel free to re-register and start your journey in WarThunder with a significant advantage over other players. This will save you tens of hours of gameplay and speed up your progression thanks to the premium vehicles and premium account, as they increase rewards and experience per battle. Got it? Now let's move on to the other tips and tricks. Don't rush to level up your account. The game's concept isn't designed for you to quickly acquire vehicles. And no matter how cool and confident a player you are, don't expect the game to yield to you immediately. I understand that's what you have in mind, but reality usually works differently than we expect. So be patient and get ready to learn how to play. Watch other players, check out guides, and try to replicate what you see. We have a lot of different guides on our channel if you need them. We've covered the basics, so now let's tackle the specific questions. Which line should you develop? I prefer and recommend the Americans, but you can choose whoever you want. Why do I recommend the Americans? Balanced vehicles, pleasant low ranks, and strong high ranks. I'm not forcing you, but I recommend it. But the most important thing when progressing isn't necessarily the nation you choose, but having premium and premium vehicles. Yes, as the game progresses, it will increasingly hint at purchasing one or the other. So the sooner you understand the cost of free games, the better. Do you know how you can check my words? For registering via the link, you get a week of premium and 3 types of premium vehicles forever. Albeit low-level ones, but still head and shoulders above what others have. They come with all modules fully upgraded from the start, increased reward multipliers, and they simply warm your heart by just being there. And staying on the topic of donation and ranks, let me tell you what happens if you combine these 2 things together. We end up with the best tool for progressing through tech trees. The thing is, all vehicles can farm experience without using efficiency within one rank spread. But premium vehicles, they can progress all lower rank vehicles. So if you buy something from the high ranks right away, you'll be able to level up everything that came before it without any problem. Let me explain it as simply as possible. Buy the 6th rank right away and effectively develop the previous 5. Yes, you'll have to overcome the psychological barrier and give your money to the developers, but trust me, in the end, you'll save about a year of your life. That's how big the difference is in progression with a premium account and vehicle compared to a Spartan approach, meaning without any donation. You're either spending all your time on the game or enjoying the gameplay. The choice is yours. A small but extremely useful tip: at the very beginning of a battle, you can choose your respawn point, usually several points in different areas of the map. Depending on the vehicle you're playing, like a light or heavy tank, you should choose the spawn point that suits you best. Consider the landscape features: fields, hills, mountains, or bodies of water. Think ahead about where you'll move, and most importantly, don't choose the same respawn point as most players on your team, because the other line will be outnumbered in terms of vehicles, and you'll simply be pinched from both sides. And often, almost all the tanks go in one direction. There's an undeniable advantage in this: you move as one big wave, sweeping away everything in front of you. But this same wording reveals your weakness: you only move forward, with your rear and flanks exposed, making it easy to dismantle your formation. Often, such a formation simply runs into resistance from the enemy, who has taken up more advantageous positions, and the entire group perishes being surrounded. So remember, don't go with the crowd. Don't be a part of the mass. WarThunder is a game about teamwork, not wall-to-wall battles. Think about what you're doing and how exactly you will influence the outcome of the battle. These insignificant actions will only increase your win percentage. This video was quite long and full of information, but unfortunately, I can't fit all the tips and tricks into it. But if you like this kind of content, subscribe and check out our channel, where you'll find many more guides. And here's something I won't get tired of repeating in every video, because I often see people making the same mistakes. Never face the enemy head on. Always angle your hull at 45 degrees. This will increase your chances of survival by increasing the chance of a ricochet and also increasing the relative thickness of your armor. Armor relative thickness, for those who don't know, is the thickness of the armor along the projectile's trajectory. So if you increase the angle, the projectile has to pass through more metal before penetrating the tank. If you turn your hull like this, the thickness increases so much that the penetration becomes impossible. And the hack I'd like to share with you right now is as follows. Use marathons to the fullest extent. That is, not only get personal vehicles, but also what can be sold through the marketplace. Of course, it requires twice as many points, but the result is worth it. First of all, if you farm a coupon for trading, you can put the vehicle up for sale on the marketplace. And if you put it on the marketplace, sooner or later someone will buy it from you. This means either profit in real-life money or profit in the speed of account progression, since you can buy a tank, premium, or something else with Gaijin coins. The more ancient the item you put up for sale, the more money you can get in the end. So farm, but don't rush to sell. That's the advice. This is not a guide to the best way to play, but rather advice you can either listen to or ignore. Don't want to lose silver? Don't crash your plane into the ground trying to take out someone's tank. If you do, the plane goes in for a full repair, and that costs a lot of money. And you don't want to crash like a noob every other time, right? Then remember, to make it easier to target the enemy from around a corner, just back up instead of moving forward and exposing your hull. Physics, kid! The further you are from the target, the more view you have. This doesn't apply in 100% of cases, but it sometimes helps. And if you end up in the scrapyard, or rather the hangar, go to the menu and uncheck the auto repair option, and you'll save a huge amount of silver. If you don't know, vehicles repair themselves for free. But yes, it takes some time. For silver, it's naturally faster, but more expensive. This is perfect advice for those who don't play often, maybe just a couple of times a week with a beer in hand. Also, don't forget to limit your ammo load, because the fewer shells you have, the higher your chances of survival, since nothing will accidentally donate. And remember this too, if your tank has smoke shells, try throwing them towards the enemies to block their vision. This will give the light tanks in your team the chance to sneak into better positions and attack the enemies emerging from the smoke first. However, there's a flip side. If you smoke everything out, the team won't have information about the number and positioning of the enemy. So use this advice situationally, and ideally coordinate with friends using voice chat. And here are a couple more tips for playing with friends. Don't hesitate to fire your machine gun, especially at the tracks of other tanks. A broken track means time lost for repairs, and during that time, one of your teammates can swoop in and finish the target from the side. The next tip is more about team coordination. If you're playing with a friend via voice chat, feel free to fake a hit and ask your friend to cover you. The logic here is as follows. You are hiding behind a wall with the enemy. Shoot anywhere, it doesn't matter. The enemy thinks it's his moment. You're reloading and defenseless, so he comes out and is immediately hit by your teammate. Just keep in mind that for stunts like this, I recommend that one of you turn off the tank's engine so as not to give away that there are two of you. If the enemy is not deaf, he can easily hear the sound of two engines running simultaneously. So simulate to the end, turn off the engine, and let only one of you be with the engine running. Now go into settings and type grass, and you'll get what you need. What we need is to disable the grass because it only gets in your way and obstructs your view. You can disable the grass in the scope, but there's a surprising thing about snow. You can't turn it off, but you can shoot through it. Surprise the enemy who thinks they've hidden behind a hill. Hit them in the face despite the obstacle. And as for crew leveling up, I can advise the following. For tanks, it's important to upgrade reloading and leadership. For planes, upgrade resistance to G-forces, and for ships, main caliber reload. Also, don't rush to buy premium vehicles, and there are several reasons for this. The first, by the link in the description, you already get premium vehicles for free. The second reason, don't buy low-level vehicles as they cost real money, but unfortunately don't justify it. Better to grab them for free by following the link in the description. And third, it's best to buy vehicles on sale, wait for discounts, and grab all the premium junk at 50% off, as it usually happens during seasonal sales. And what should you do in the meantime? Yes, that's right, grab your free premium vehicles. Where? That's right, by the link in the description. I also recommend you remember a couple of basic but important buttons, C and O. On C, you have the free camera, which is useful for surveying any type of vehicle, because by holding it, you can freely look around in different directions without triggering turret rotation, tower rotation, or turning the plane in another direction. And on O, you inspect the vehicle to know where your vulnerable spots are, or simply examine damaged parts. For a newbie, the second meaning is of little use. But on the proving ground, I recommend inspecting newly purchased vehicles to know which parts you can risk and expose. And the proving ground in the game isn't just for fun, if you didn't know. You can access it by simply right-clicking on the vehicle you have or the premium one and selecting Test Drive. And if you've moved on to playing beyond arcade mode, then it's vital for you to know about something called the rangefinder. In the arcade, you have aiming assistance, this little crosshair, but it gets harder from there, and to see the distance and calculate everything correctly, you need to hold down X and adjust the scope. This is set here in the settings. Scroll to the bottom, click on Grid Setup, and assign the keys that are convenient for you. I set this to the side buttons on the mouse, but many people just bind it to the scroll wheel. Lock on, measure the distance, adjust the scope, and send the enemy to the hangar. Of course, you can rely on your spider sense and shoot by feel, but it's risky and requires certain experience and skill. These are the tips and tricks of WarThunder I want to show you in this video. And remember, the most important thing, it's how you start the game, or more precisely, with what. I've prepared a cool set with premium vehicles, a premium account, silver, rental vehicles, decorations, and boosters in the description for you. All of this will give you an incredible boost in experience and, most importantly, enjoyment of the game. Want more content and useful information? Then subscribe to the channel and like the videos to motivate me to create more content and find useful information that will be valuable for each of you. Hit the bell to avoid missing anything. Good luck and see you later!